she followed a faint cry into the forest and found a German shepherd trapped in barbed wire. A little girl. A silent scream. A moment that shattered the silence of an entire town. What she did next left doctors stunned and strangers in tears. This is more than a rescue. It's a lesson in bravery, love, and what it truly means to be human. Like, share, and tell us where you're watching from, because this story will stay with you long after it ends. The forest stood quiet at the edge of town, shadows stretching long beneath the dimming sky as twilight settled in. Faint rays of sunlight filtered through the dense canopy, casting shifting patterns on the moss-covered ground. The usual sounds of daytime, chirping birds, rustling leaves, distant voices, had faded away, replaced by a heavy, almost eerie stillness that pressed softly against the air. In this fragile silence, the forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Near the tree line, a little girl named Lily stood motionless, her wide eyes reflecting both innocence and a budding curiosity that belied her young age. Lily was not the type to run from the unknown. There was something about the mysteries of the woods that pulled gently at her heart. Her small hands clutched a worn stuffed rabbit, a comfort against the chill in the air and the uncertainty of what might lie ahead. Despite her bravery, a cautious thread of hesitation tugged at her mind. The forest was vast and unfamiliar, darkening with each passing moment, and she was alone. Suddenly, a faint sound pierced the stillness, a fragile, desperate cry that seemed to come from deeper within the trees. It was soft and broken, barely more than a whisper carried on the cold wind, yet it shattered the quiet like a sudden gasp. Lily's heart skipped. She turned her head slowly, trying to pinpoint the source, but the dense foliage obscured all but shadows. That cry, so fragile, so full of pain, stirred something deep inside her. A mixture of fear and compassion warred within her chest. Should she stay safe at the edge, or follow this haunting call to its source? Her mind raced. What if it was an animal caught, hurt, or worse? What if it was something she shouldn't disturb? But the voice, fragile as it was, seemed to plead silently, drawing her forward despite the warnings whispered by her own caution. The conflict was real, but her innate kindness edged out the fear. Taking a small, determined step forward, she pressed into the forest, the shadows closing gently behind her. Each step was measured, the damp earth soft beneath her feet, twigs snapping softly in the otherwise muffled landscape. The trees loomed like silent sentinels, their branches whispering secrets she could almost understand. The cry came again, fainter, but filled with unmistakable urgency, and Lily's resolve hardened. She had to find whoever or whatever was calling out, no matter the risks. As she ventured deeper, the forest seemed to grow darker, more tangled, as if reluctant to reveal its secrets. The underbrush clawed at her clothes and legs, thorns catching her sleeves. The faint glow of the sky was swallowed bit by bit, replaced by the muted greens and browns of twilight. The air grew colder, heavier, and the cries more frequent, threading a desperate rhythm through the trees. A knot of worry twisted in Lily's stomach. Was she truly ready for what lay ahead? But she pushed the thought aside. This moment, this choice to listen, to act, felt like the turning point in a story far bigger than herself. The kind of moment that changes everything. Then, just beyond a dense thicket, she saw it. A flash of movement, a glint of fear-stricken eyes catching the last light. There, tangled cruelly in cruel, gleaming barbed wire, was a German shepherd. Its fur was matted and torn, its breaths ragged and strained. The dog struggled desperately, caught between panic and pain, its powerful body hampered by the unforgiving trap. The look in its eyes met Lily's, wild, scared, but guarded by a fierce protective spirit. It was a silent plea for help that broke through the forest's hush and echoed deep within her soul. Frozen for a heartbeat, Lily reached out slowly, her fingers trembling but sure. The moment had come, an instant that would mark the beginning of a journey neither of them could have imagined. This was no ordinary cry lost to the woods. It was a call for rescue, for hope, and for a bond that would change both their lives forever. The edge of the forest was cloaked in a thick, eerie silence as the fading daylight filtered through the tangled branches, casting long, restless shadows on the forest floor. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves, broken only by the faintest crackling of twigs underfoot. It was in this hushed stillness that a small, brave girl named Emma found herself drawn deeper into the woods, following a fragile, desperate cry that tugged at her heart. As she pushed through the thick underbrush, her eyes finally landed on a heartbreaking sight that stopped her breath in an instant. There, tangled cruelly in a cruel trap of barbed wire, was a German shepherd, a magnificent dog reduced to a shadow of its former self. Its thick fur was matted and stained with dirt and dried blood, and the sharp metal wire had dug deep into its flesh, leaving angry, raw wounds that oozed with pain. The dog's body trembled with exhaustion and fear, its ribs visible beneath the patchy coat, a clear testament to its weeks of suffering and starvation. Yet, despite its weakened state, the German shepherd's eyes burned with a fierce, wary intelligence. It growled softly, a low, guttural sound filled with both warning and pain. The dog was defensive but desperate, ready to fight if necessary, yet vulnerable and alone in this wild place. Emma's heart clenched painfully at the sight. Tears welled in her eyes as shock battled with compassion inside her young soul. She knew instantly that this creature was not just trapped in wire but also caught in fear and loneliness. The dog's heavy breathing echoed around the forest, mingling with the faint rustling of leaves as it tried to pull free but only worsened its injuries. Cautiously, Emma knelt a few feet away, speaking softly with the gentlest voice she could muster. "It's okay, I'm here to help," she whispered, her words trembling with emotion. But the dog's eyes never left her. Mistrust flickered within them like a fragile flame threatening to extinguish at the slightest wrong move. It flinched whenever Emma reached forward, a painful reminder that it had been hurt by humans before. The barbed wire itself was a terrifying obstacle. The sharp, twisted metal was tangled tight around the dog's legs and chest, cutting deep into the skin and trapping it firmly in place. Any attempt to approach risked aggravating those wounds or provoking the dog's instinct to lash out in fear. Around them, the forest floor was littered with thorny bushes and uneven roots, making each step forward a dangerous challenge for the young girl. Despite her fear, Emma's determination never wavered. She knew time was against them. The dog's strength was fading with every passing moment, and the wild forest held dangers of its own. Predators prowled these woods after dark, and if help didn't come soon, the dog's chances would dwindle to almost nothing. The urgency tightened around Emma's chest like a vice, spurring her forward even when her knees trembled. She took slow, deliberate breaths and kept her hands steady, trying to project calm and kindness. "I won't hurt you," she promised softly, inching closer and offering a piece of bread from her small lunchbox. The German shepherd sniffed cautiously, its nostrils flaring as it weighed the unfamiliar gesture. Hesitation gave way to a faint, hopeful wag of the tail, the first sign of trust since Emma had found it. But the danger was far from over. The wire dug deeper with each small movement the dog made, and the risk of infection was high. Emma could see fresh blood trickling down the animal's legs, staining the dry leaves crimson. She reached into her pocket for a water bottle, carefully pouring a few drops near the dog's mouth. It lapped eagerly, its tired eyes locking with Emma's in a silent plea for help. In that moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Emma's heart pounded as she realized the full weight of what lay before her. This wasn't just about freeing an animal, it was about saving a life hanging by a fragile thread. And for the first time, she felt the depth of the bond forming between her and this wounded, brave dog. A bond born of shared vulnerability and an unspoken promise. The woods, once quiet and peaceful, now felt alive with tension. Every snap of a twig or rustle of leaves made Emma jump, reminding her how isolated they were. She had to act quickly but wisely. She couldn't free the dog alone, not without risking harm to both of them. Yet she couldn't leave it behind either, trapped and hurting. Emma looked around, searching for something, anything, that could help. Branches? A stick? But her hands were empty, her small size a disadvantage against the cruel wire. She whispered soothing words to the dog, her voice a soft balm against the fear, hoping to calm the animal while she figured out a plan. With each passing minute, the urgency grew. Emma's eyes filled with tears, not just for the dog's pain but for the helplessness she felt. Yet beneath the tears was a fierce spark of hope and resolve. She wouldn't let this dog suffer alone. She would find help. She would save it. And so, with a trembling yet determined heart, Emma rose slowly from the forest floor, preparing to seek help, to bring back whatever strength and tools were needed to break the barbed wire's cruel grip. But as she took her first steps away, the dog's low whimper echoed softly, a fragile sound that promised their fight was only just beginning. Emma's small feet pounded softly on the forest floor as she rushed back through the tangled trees. Her heart was a wild drum in her chest, mixing fear and urgency. The fading daylight filtered dimly through the branches, but she barely noticed the shadows stretching around her. All that mattered was the trapped German shepherd, hurt, scared, and waiting for her help. She clutched the empty lunchbox in one hand, the piece of bread inside now gone, and wiped a stray tear from her cheek. "I have to find someone who can help," she whispered to herself, voice trembling but determined. The woods seemed less intimidating now, filled with a new purpose. Emma's brave spirit refused to leave that poor dog alone in the cruel trap. Emerging from the edge of the forest, Emma's eyes scanned the familiar rows of houses nearby. She sprinted toward the nearest home, her grandfather's, knowing he was the kindest, strongest person she knew. Bursting through the door, breathless, she exclaimed, "Grandpa, there's a dog caught in barbed wire. You have to come quick." Her grandfather, Jack, immediately saw the urgency in Emma's wide eyes and the tremble in her voice. Without hesitation, he grabbed his coat and a sturdy pair of work gloves. "Lead the way, Emma," he said, his voice calm but serious. Together, they hurried back toward the forest. As they reached the edge of the trees, neighbors who had heard Emma's cries began to gather, a small group of kind-hearted souls ready to help. Mrs. Thompson, the retired nurse from down the street, brought a first aid kit. Mr. Davis, the handyman, carried bolt cutters and wire cutters, tools that might free the dog from its cruel prison. The community's concern was palpable, a quiet wave of solidarity rising around Emma's desperate mission. Jack placed a steady hand on Emma's shoulder. "We're going to get your friend out of there, kiddo. But we have to be careful." Emma nodded, biting her lip to hold back tears. Her eyes darted toward the tangled wire where the German shepherd still struggled, trapped and trembling. Together, the group moved closer to the spot. The dog's wary eyes locked onto the new arrivals, growling low and baring its teeth, a desperate warning, fueled by pain and fear. Emma stepped forward slightly, whispering soft words of comfort. "It's okay, we're here to help you." Jack knelt beside the dog, speaking gently as he inspected the barbed wire's grip. "This is going to take time and patience," he explained. "We can't just yank it off. We have to cut carefully, piece by piece, without hurting him more." Mr. Davis set to work with the cutters, slicing through the twisted metal one link at a time. The dog flinched with every cut, but Emma's calming presence seemed to ease its panic. She stayed close, her hand resting lightly on the dog's side whenever it allowed, whispering encouragements. "You're safe now. We won't let anything happen to you." The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows and cooling the air. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath as the rescue unfolded with slow, steady care. Every snap of the wire loosening brought hope, and yet the dog's panic sometimes surged unexpectedly. It pulled at the wire, twisting and snarling, making the task harder and more dangerous. At one point, the dog struggled violently, and the wire cut deeper into its flesh. Emma gasped, tears spilling freely now. Jack gently soothed the animal, his voice calm and reassuring. "Almost there, buddy. Hang in there." The group paused for a moment, catching their breath. Emma looked down at the dog, her heart aching with every labored breath it took. She knew the rescue wasn't just about freeing it from the wire, it was about healing the wounds that went deeper than flesh. Minutes stretched into an hour as the last strands of barbed wire were finally cut away. The dog collapsed forward, exhausted and trembling, but free. Emma rushed to its side, cradling the wounded creature as if protecting a precious treasure. The emotional bond between Emma and the German Shepherd grew stronger with every passing moment. The dog's wary eyes softened as it sensed her genuine kindness, and Emma felt a fierce protective love blossoming inside her, a connection that went beyond words. Her family and neighbors gathered close, offering blankets and water. The forest's eerie silence gave way to soft voices of relief and hope. Emma whispered promises to the dog, "We'll keep you safe. You'll never be alone again." That night, as Emma sat beside the rescued dog wrapped in a warm blanket, the stars twinkled above the quiet forest, bearing witness to a remarkable story of bravery, compassion, and the power of a little girl's heart to change a life. The moment the German Shepherd was finally freed from the cruel grip of the barbed wire, the weight of exhaustion pressed heavily on her trembling body. Her fur was matted with dirt and dried blood, the cuts from the wire jagged and raw. Every step she took was careful and slow, as if she was testing her injured limbs for the first time in days. The dim light filtering through the forest canopy caught in her wary eyes, reflecting a mixture of fear, confusion, and an almost instinctual hope. She was alive, but barely, a fragile survivor of what must have been a horrific ordeal. The little girl, whose heart had drawn her deeper into the forest by the haunting cries, stayed close but didn't rush forward. She knew the dog was scared, wounded, and likely untrusting. Instead, she sat quietly at a distance, her small hands resting gently in her lap as she whispered soothing words carried softly on the cool breeze. The forest around them was still, the usual chorus of birds and rustling leaves muted as if nature itself was holding its breath. Her voice, gentle yet persistent, reached the dog in faint ripples, breaking the silence like a promise. "You're not alone anymore." Carefully, the girl reached into her backpack and pulled out a small water bottle. She crept closer, her eyes never leaving the dog's trembling form. The dog growled low and hesitant at first but soon relented, lapping at the water in tiny, desperate sips. The girl's face lit with a mixture of relief and determination. There was a spark of life still burning in this noble creature, and she was going to nurture it back to health, no matter how long it took. The girl's family arrived shortly after, their faces pale with concern when they saw the state of the dog. A local veterinarian, called in swiftly by the girl's mother, knelt beside the dog and began a careful assessment. The wounds were severe, deep lacerations from the barbed wire, raw patches where the skin had been scraped away, and bruises hinting at rough handling. The vet's hands were gentle but firm, cleaning each wound meticulously while administering pain relief. The dog flinched occasionally but never growled, a sign that her trust was slowly building. In the days that followed, the dog's recovery was slow but steady. The little girl took on the role of caregiver with a surprising maturity for her age, learning how to clean wounds, offer food carefully, and most importantly, to be patient. She spent hours sitting beside the dog, brushing her coarse fur with a soft cloth, whispering stories of safety and warmth. Slowly, the dog's muscles relaxed, the frightened eyes softened. A tail once tucked low began to wag tentatively at the girl's approach. There were moments when the dog would retreat, overwhelmed by pain or fear, but the girl never wavered. She understood that healing was as much about mending the spirit as it was about fixing the body. One afternoon, as sunlight poured through the window and dust motes danced in the golden glow, the dog finally pressed her head into the girl's lap. It was a quiet, profound moment, an unspoken bond sealed by trust and kindness. Sometimes, the girl found herself wondering how the dog had ended up in such a dire state, trapped in barbed wire deep within the forest. She pieced together small clues, the rumors whispered by neighbors about a harsh landowner clearing the woods, stories of abandoned animals left to fend for themselves, and faint memories from the dog's own quiet behavior that hinted at a life of hardship and neglect. These thoughts brought tears to her eyes, but also steeled her resolve. This dog's survival was a testament to resilience, a symbol of hope born from pain. As weeks passed, the physical scars began to fade, replaced by a vibrant coat and bright eyes that mirrored a newfound joy. The dog's movements grew stronger, more confident, and with each wag of her tail, the girl felt her own heart heal. They had saved each other. The girl's courage had sparked the dog's second chance at life, and the dog's gentle spirit gave the girl strength beyond her years. The forest's eerie silence was replaced by laughter and the soft patter of paws on soft earth. Together, they ventured on quiet walks, the dog exploring the woods no longer as a trapped victim but as a free soul reclaiming her world. The little girl's nurturing spirit blossomed alongside her canine companion's recovery, both forever changed by a moment of pain and the unwavering power of compassion. The quiet town seemed peaceful on the surface, but beneath that calm, a dark story was beginning to unravel, the story of the German shepherd caught in barbed wire, whose fate had touched the hearts of many. The little girl's discovery had sparked more than just sympathy. It had ignited a fire within the community to uncover the truth behind the dog's suffering. Word quickly spread about the trapped dog and the brave girl who had risked everything to save it. Neighbors, store workers, hunters, and longtime residents began to come forward, sharing their observations and suspicions. One elderly man recalled seeing a dog wandering the nearby forest weeks ago, looking thin and scared, with a strange injury on its leg. Another local shared rumors about someone who had been mistreating animals on the outskirts of town, but no one had dared to intervene until now. As the stories piled up, the grim reality became clear. The German shepherd was a victim of neglect and cruelty. It wasn't just an unfortunate stray. This was a dog that had once been cared for but was cruelly abandoned and left to suffer alone. The community felt a mix of sorrow and outrage, angered that such a gentle creature could be treated so badly. The little girl, still holding on to the bond she had formed with the dog, felt a new weight on her young shoulders. She understood now that the rescue was only the beginning, that the dog's past carried scars deeper than those visible on its body. Her family rallied around her, sharing their own pain and determination to see justice served. Motivated by this, neighbors organized meetings, sharing information and brainstorming ways to prevent such cruelty from happening again. Flyers were posted around town, urging anyone with information to speak up. Local animal welfare groups stepped in to offer support, providing food, shelter, and medical care for other animals in need. The dog's plight became a symbol, a reminder of the vulnerability of all creatures and the responsibility everyone shared to protect them. Through this collective effort, the community not only began healing but also grew stronger. The story of the German shepherd united them in a cause greater than themselves, inspiring kindness and vigilance. Many neighbors started volunteering their time, while others donated supplies, creating a small but determined force against animal cruelty. The girl's bond with the dog became a powerful testament to the resilience of both. She often spoke at community events, sharing how love and courage had saved her four-legged friend, encouraging others to speak out and take action. Her story gave hope, a clear message that even the smallest voice can make a difference. As local authorities increased patrols and investigations, rumors about the dog's previous owner surfaced, with whispers of legal action in the works. The community hoped that justice would follow, that the person responsible would be held accountable. But more than that, they hoped that no other animal would have to endure what their German Shepherd friend had. In the days and weeks that followed, the dog's recovery became a beacon of hope, proof that even in the darkest circumstances, love and community could bring light. The once frightened and trapped animal was now safe, cherished, and loved by many, reminding everyone that compassion could heal wounds both seen and unseen. After the harrowing rescue, the German Shepherd's journey toward healing began slowly but steadily. At first, every movement was cautious, a reflection of the pain and fear the dog had endured. The wounds from the barbed wire were still fresh, and the muscles were weak from weeks of neglect and struggle. But with each passing day, under the loving care of the little girl and her family, the dog began to show signs of strength returning. Morning light would catch the soft gleam in the dog's eyes, a spark of life that had been nearly extinguished. It was a small victory when the dog first wagged its tail again, a silent but powerful sign of trust and growing comfort. Playful moments slowly replaced moments of hesitation. The once wary dog started to chase after a tossed ball, ears perked, tongue lolling with a joyous abandon that melted everyone's hearts. The gentle rustle of leaves and laughter in the backyard became the soundtrack of a new beginning. For the little girl, this healing process was about more than just nursing an animal back to health. It was a transformation within herself. Her confidence blossomed as she took on the responsibility of caring for the dog, learning how to read its subtle cues and provide comfort when fear or pain returned. She discovered patience she didn't know she had, and her empathy deepened with every quiet moment spent sitting beside her four-legged friend. It was a bond forged in hardship, one that made her heart grow bigger with love and understanding. Training became a joyful routine, full of laughter and gentle encouragement. The dog learned to respond to commands, not just out of obedience, but because it trusted and loved the girl who had saved it. They shared quiet walks through the neighborhood, moments of discovery and calm that allowed both to breathe free from the shadows of their past. The dog's playful antics and gentle nudges became daily reminders of the power of second chances. Every shared moment was a testament to kindness, the invisible thread that tied their hearts together and began to mend the wounds of neglect. The dog, once trapped and scared, now thrived in the warm glow of love and care. The little girl, once uncertain and quiet, now carried herself with the quiet strength of someone who had faced darkness and chosen light. This story was more than just a rescue. It was a lesson for the entire community. It reminded neighbors and friends that compassion isn't just a feeling but a call to action. That sometimes the smallest acts, stopping to listen to a faint cry, extending a helping hand, or simply being present, can change a life forever. The dog's recovery symbolized hope, the promise that healing is possible and that kindness has the power to transform even the most broken souls. As the seasons shifted, so too did the rhythms of the girl and her dog. The backyard became a place of celebration where new memories were created daily. Friends and neighbors came to see the dog's progress, marveling at the incredible transformation. It wasn't just the dog that had been saved. The entire community had grown stronger, more connected, and more aware of their role as protectors of those without a voice. At night, the little girl would sit beside the dog, brushing its soft fur as it rested peacefully. Their bond, forged in adversity, was now unbreakable. Both had learned that courage and love could overcome even the darkest trials. And as she whispered promises of forever friendship, the dog's steady breathing was a comforting reminder that no matter what had happened before, this was a new beginning, a life filled with hope, laughter, and the unshakable warmth of belonging. The journey that began with a faint, desperate cry in the quiet forest had blossomed into a story of hope, courage, and profound transformation. From the moment the little girl heard that fragile sound and followed it deep into the woods, her life, and the life of a suffering German shepherd, changed forever. What started as a quiet moment of curiosity turned into an extraordinary tale of rescue, healing, and the incredible power of compassion. That first glimpse of the dog, tangled and trapped in barbed wire, was heartbreaking, a stark reminder of the cruelty some creatures endure in silence. But it was also the beginning of something beautiful, a journey that revealed the strength not just of a dog fighting for survival, but of a brave little girl whose heart refused to turn away. Through each step, from the tense rescue attempts, through the painstaking care and recovery, to the joyful transformation, the bond between them grew stronger, a beacon of light in the darkest of times. The impact of their story rippled far beyond the forest's edge. The community, once unaware or indifferent, found itself awakened to the realities of animal neglect and cruelty. Neighbors came together, united by a newfound sense of responsibility and hope. What was once a distant problem became a shared mission: to protect, to care, and to never let another innocent soul suffer alone. This story is a powerful reminder that cruelty can hide anywhere, in the shadows of a forest, behind a grocery store, or in the quiet corners of our neighborhoods. But it also shows that vigilance and kindness can break through that darkness. Every person watching this story has the power to be a guardian for those who cannot speak for themselves. It only takes one caring heart to make a difference, one pair of eyes to notice, one set of hands willing to help. If this story has touched your heart, consider what you can do in your own community. Be alert to signs of animal suffering. Speak up when you see neglect or abuse. Support local shelters and rescue organizations that work tirelessly to give animals a second chance. Whether it's volunteering your time, donating resources, or simply spreading awareness, your actions matter more than you know. For those inspired to take the next step, here are some trusted organizations dedicated to animal rescue and protection. They offer ways for you to get involved, from fostering and adoption to advocacy and education. Together, we can build a world where no animal is left to suffer in silence. As we close this chapter, remember the faces behind this story: the little girl who followed the cry despite fear, the German shepherd who fought against all odds, and the community that rose to protect and heal. Their journey teaches us that love and courage can overcome even the greatest challenges. It teaches us that every life is precious, every act of kindness has ripple effects, and together, we can change the world one life at a time. If you feel moved by this story, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more stories of hope, courage, and compassion to light, stories that inspire us all to be better, kinder, and braver. Thank you for being part of this journey. Let's continue to stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves, and let kindness lead the way.